Hi, I'm Daniel and this is Ashville. I get asked a lot of questions about property and get asked to do a lot of podcasts. If you follow closely, you'll see that this week I did 2 stereo app shows about property. One with Andrew Southern of Southern Grove and one with Yianni at Yianni. You know, that YouTube car guy whose house we're renovating. Here are some of the best bits from both, and make sure you tune in on Sunday for my next show, which is going to be about Ashville Weekly.
I'm not sure whether to invest in property or the stock market.
I would always say bricks and mortar. You know, you don't make large capital immediately. It's more of a retirement plan.
If you look at the Sunday Times rich list, nearly every single person in there generally go into bricks and mortar and property. Fundamentally, as Tony Soprano said, God's not making any more land, and therefore, ultimately, property prices will rise.
What's your advice for an 18-year-old trying to get into the property game?
I would say as an 18-year-old, you basically need to become a sponge. You need to go around to as many experienced people as possible, and you need to learn as much as you can. You're going to have to do a lot of unpaid work, but the knowledge you're going to gain will help you so much later on, because experience is the master.
You know what my other key word is? Network. You need to network. Don't underestimate anyone. Don't look at someone and think, oh, he's only the cleaner or he's only the builder. Show love to everyone and network. Network. Get people's numbers, get their social media platforms, and stay in contact.
How do you invest into property without losing money?
Yeah, that's a very expansive question, Daniel. You got to do your market research. You got to look at comparable evidence. There's a range of different things that you need to look at to see whether it works or not.
I see a lot of people investing in, you could say, one-off properties, and then they throw a lot of money doing it, and they just automatically assume that because you buy something for 10 million and you spend 5 million, you're going to make 20 million. And I have to say, it doesn't actually work like that.
Daniel, a question for you. What made you go to your mother's for 5 years?
Now, at 28, 29 years old, me and Jan were out like religiously. Going back to your mum's is like a slap in the face, and you find out real quick who your friends are. Going back to my mum's was a very big shock, but it enabled me to put all my money into my business.
If you hadn't gone back to your mum's, you wouldn't have the life you have today. You wouldn't have the business you have today. You said about spending money on cars and going out. You missed one thing that you had. Daniel Louise in 2008 had a wardrobe of clothes. You would think Louis Vuitton, Gucci, Prada, every brand you can imagine. His wardrobe, I was like, bro, where am I in Selfridges here? Wardrobe of plus 100 grand. No wonder you had to go back to your mum's.
Yeah. And now look at me. I wear work boots every day. I'm knee deep in mud, and I can't remember the last time I put clean clothes on. So there you go.
What would you best suggest for a young professional aged 20 to 25 who's serious about getting into a head start in real estate? Much love from Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
Thank you for listening to us live on the Stereo app all the way from Canada.
So you buy a property, you do it up, you get an extension, you sweat the asset, you make it look nice, and do all the basics. That's one solution. Obviously, my preference is to go and raise equity and debt and do much more, larger scale projects.
How many streams of income do you both have?
I've probably got over 11, 12 streams of income. So I could say Yianni as a business is one income. Social media is another stream of income. Yianni as a brand, property is another income. I have other companies, that's another income. Whether it's bringing you in £100 a month or £10,000 a month, it's another income, and it all adds up.
I have a lot less incomes than Yianni. 3 different streams of income.
No, you don't. No, you don't. Keep going. I can name 5 now. Ashville's not classed as one. Ashville aggregates, Ashville concrete.
Oh, all right. Oh, okay, sorry.
Social media, brand deals, property. Do you want me to keep going?
What advice would you give to someone who wants to start real estate and does not want to be shook?
Mate, I'm going to say thank you also for watching Ashville Weekly. I would say exercise caution. I would say that maybe you need to be shook, because I'm not shook, and I tend to throw everything, including the kitchen sink and everything I do. I'd say Andrew's a lot more calculated than I am. So I would advise you not to be shook, but I would advise you to be wary and to do all your sums. Do not buy a property and work out what you're going to do with it after you have it, because that's where problems can happen. So don't be shook, but just try to be wise.
Sometimes you've got to roll the dice. And the reality is, particularly when you're younger, sort of sub 30 or around the 30s, you can give it a go. And what's the worst that can happen? You can always go and get another job. So if you're talented, I think it's worth giving it a go, and that's certainly what you did. You gave it a go, and you're younger than me, and you fall down, you scrape your knee, you get up, and you go again.
How long do you think you're gonna take on Yianni's house?
No, that's a great question. That's a great question. Well, hold on. To answer that question, I have to suck air through my teeth. Boy. Nah, realistically, I'd say end of June, Yianni would be in his house, as long as he doesn't keep adding things. Every day there's a WhatsApp group between me, Yianni, and Yianni's wife, and every day something new goes into there and a new picture goes into there. They send new things. Unless I ask Yianni for drawings, Yianni won't send me drawings of the house. All he says is, bro, you've got them already.
My birthday's 1st of July, and he said I'll be in there by the 1st of July. So, stand on, Daniel.
Have you ever thought about doing property development outside the UK?
I have some land in St. Lucia, and I have permission to build a 23-unit scheme, but I'm far too busy with what's going on here. Andrew went to St. Lucia a long time ago, and he called me. He was in the back of a taxi. He'd had a few beers, a few Piton beers, and he called me and he said, I'm going to build in St. Lucia. And I was like, okay.
I remember the day when I called you, and I can't say too much on this call, but we've been working on something for 2 years, and we're about to close in the next few weeks. So very exciting, and that's a result of our relationship. Now, I wouldn't be doing that if I didn't have that relationship with you and the people of St. Lucia. You need some local knowledge. You need a partner. You need a friend.
Would you both ever go into property with each other?
Yes, we're looking into it. The issue me and Daniel have is time. There's not enough time to do everything.
What is your story as to how you got started in property?
I went the traditional route. I was a bit of jack of all trades, master of none at school. So I did architecture engineering. I went to the States. That opened my mind to leave Sheffield to come to London. And my first job, I worked for a company called Mace. Now, Mace Group are massive now. And I worked on, and actually the London Eye was one of my first projects. Now, I was just a graduate, but I just hung around with people, learned, away from the coalface, met with people, had drinks with them, all that social aspect, just to keep learning. And so ultimately, I set my business up 8 years ago. I'm a big believer in just getting that experience and just cracking on, and things will, opportunities will present themselves. And if you can make a best mate with someone and you share something in common like you and I do, that's utopia, really. To enjoy what you do and make money is pretty special.
Your major in college or university, or what did you study in college or university, and why did you do it? I'm just so interested.
Let me go first, please. I beg you, let me go first on this one. Aisha, my major in college was I never went there. My major in university was I never went there. I failed at school. I'd done 1 year of sixth form, and the earliest opportunity I could to get out and get a job is what I did. So I was a failure at school, and I never went to college or university, and I wasn't good, and I failed to study. And I'm not saying you shouldn't, and you should study and you should do your best at school. I failed badly.
I think what Yianni means is that he studied at the University of Life. Is I think.
What no, I could be a life coach. Look at me.
Look at me. I'm going to pretend you didn't say that. For me, I studied for my A levels, and at that time, I had a lot of knee trouble. I've had 2 ruptured cruciate ligaments, and the day before my exams, I managed to twist my knee and swell my knee up so badly I couldn't sit in any of my exams, and they gave me predicted grades. And then I went to university to do sports science. I lasted about 3 months.
Just one thing, Daniel. When you said about your knee and that's why you couldn't take your exam, is that like me when I didn't do all my homework and I said, yeah, the dog ate it? Is that the same sort of thing?
In a roundabout sort of way.
So I think 2 or 3 people in my business did a master's degree at Reading. But then there are plenty of examples of guys and girls going to do construction and then migrating into property and being very, very successful because they understand, bricks and mortar and cost. So there's no hard and fast rules, like you, Daniel. Exactly, we're both different in that respect. So
that's it. That's all you guys are getting on here. Download the Stereo app. Follow me. Follow Yianni. Follow Andrew. Follow all of us, and listen back to the 2 shows. That's 2 hours in total. 2 hours. And because we're serious, look below in the description, and you'll see all the links. The growth of the Ashville YouTube channel has been intense, and other than skimming through the comments with my team, we don't really get a chance to interact with you. I believe Stereo has bridged that gap. Thank you to everyone who sends questions in, and I'm really sorry if we didn't get to your questions, but I know that anyway, you are serious. Make sure you tune in this Sunday, the 7th of February, for my next show. I'm going to be going live with my creative partner and manager. We're going to be going live straight after Ashville Weekly, episode 18.